Om Shanti. Today's chapter is titled Yoga Fire. During these days of silence, the residents of the Yagya ate only fruit. They remained in yoga for the entire day from 3 in the morning to 10:30 in the evening. At 6 a.m., Shiv Baba would descend from the soul world and deliver through Brahma the Murli. Then Baba's children would think deeply on the Murli points all day. This was called the bhatti or furnace because just as bricks or earthenware pots are made strong when fired in a kiln, and just as gold is purified by heat, or as the shape of iron is transformed when heated to red hot and then hammered by a smith, so also these yogis burned the impurities out of their minds in the supreme fire of yoga. With such deep, powerful, continuous remembrance of God, they were able to experience being detached from their bodies and body consciousness. They felt themselves being lighter than air, like angels. They acquired the power of silence. Karma Yoga, the discipline of the day, the discipline of the daily round added fiber to their spiritual muscle. The general program of the day started with a recording of an inspired song such as Awaken, O My Brides, played over the loudspeaker to wake them up in the early morning. Thus, the importance of remembering God would be imprinted as their first thought of the day. Before arising from bed, the yogis had determined thoughts such as, now, by discarding the sleep of ignorance, I must completely awaken the soul as I do my body. Sitting up in bed, they would pass some time in meditation, followed by light physical exercise. By 5:30 a.m., they were ready to come together for class to hear Baba's flute of knowledge and play another melody. After class, they ate breakfast and began the workday. Some washed clothes in the laundry, some worked in the kitchen, others did office jobs, and some repaired cars and or did carpentry. Every task was performed in loving remembrance of God. Books on the knowledge were sent to thousands of individuals by mail each day. Many children worked long and hard writing, typing, printing, and binding these volumes. Many children worked long and hard writing, typing, printing, and binding these volumes. The work of book production was done completely and untiringly by the Yagya residents. A meal was eaten in Shiv Baba's remembrance and usually in silence. It was followed by rest and relaxing conversation or to attend to other individual needs. Just before dinner, the yogis gathered in the hall for another group meditation. When trance messengers would go into the subtle region to offer the food to God first. Only then would the yogis dine themselves. After dinner, there were other classes they could attend on whatever topics of knowledge interested them. Mama and Brahma Baba themselves used to lead these classes, offering their own realizations on the essence of what God had taught that morning. Afterwards, they would all sit once more in yoga. With the remembrance of Shiv Baba planted firmly in their minds, the Brahmins went quietly to their beds, resolving to improve tomorrow whatever defects they had noted in themselves that day. They slept in pure and peaceful sleep in the lap of their loving father. The next chapter, the godly court. Sometimes court was held at night. This was an event which could have succeeded in no other gathering. For in order to employ this powerful tool of character reconstructing, all participants must have total faith in the arbiter, and the arbiter in turn must be totally detached and fair. Here it was God Himself who presided. The court proceedings were informal. If some individual had committed any wrong action in the presence of everyone, he would simply tell his mistake to Brahma Baba and Mamma and announce a strong determination never to repeat the error. Or if one had seen someone else make a mistake, he would tell it for the purpose of uplifting that soul and bringing him back to the proper path. There were never any accusations or hard feelings. There were only the motivation to help each other move towards perfection. Baba and Mamma had the best interests of all the children at heart. They presented easy methods to avoid making mistakes and tricks to change old habit patterns. They also fulfilled requests by asking for things in everyone's presence and likewise by admitting their mistakes in their presence, the children found that no strain or stress or guilt was experienced by anyone and they were able to transcend egoism. Rumors of favoritism were also put to an end. There were no dark secrets, no suspicions. A loving family atmosphere was created. The court was not at all an oppressive or frightening affair. It was considered by all to be a profound learning experience. It provided a moment of truth, a liberation for all the Yagya children from habits and guilt which might otherwise have led to lasting sorrow. The court, with its catharsis of self purification, was the essence of freedom. Here is a song made up by one of the children expressing the feelings of all. At this time of the world's dark night, you came from the world of light to perform the great task of ridding the world of sin. This time is the best of all. In the drama of the rise and fall, with your help, we are crossing to the farther shore. You have turned our bad luck into good. Our words, your words are the sweetest food. Your judgments are restoring our deityhood. O God, you are the highest on high, the creator of the pure new world. Father Shiva, you have come to Bharat at last, and by changing our lives, you are spinning the cycle again. Next chapter, Brahma Baba's inspiring example. Not only did Brahma Baba provide every facility and comfort, but by his unshakable, gentle strength, he instilled strength in the children. By seeing his untiring and ever happy face, the others took heart and renewed their energy. Though the road they traveled together was steep, though many difficulties came, no one ever gave in to hopelessness or weakness. Brahma Baba's friendship was the greatest treasure. Though he was old in years, he was the most playful yogi of them all. He worked long hours, efficiently performing every type of service, including the most menial work. This type of service of humility and dedication became the practical ideal for everyone. He taught souls how to cooperate, and always in the midst of work, his intellect kept churning the knowledge, so that wisdom multiplied and remembrance became constant and natural. He demonstrated the method of complete soul consciousness. Next chapter, the lessons of labor. Sometimes Brahma Baba would go to the kitchen and help prepare the food. He would give yoga drishti and speak appropriate words of knowledge. Daughter, if you cook in remembrance of Shiv Baba, there will be power in the food. Consider that you are preparing this meal for him. This is Shiv Baba's imperishable Yagya. Keep that in mind as you work. If someone is sewing without the help of a machine, which could be laborious, Brahma Baba would come to lighten the atmosphere. His presence made souls happy, and they never ran out of jewels of knowledge. Brahma Baba said, spiritual daughter, while you do your work with your physical organs, remember God with your intellect, and in this way earn a spiritual income. By remembering Shiv Baba, you become entitled to wear the royal gowns of Satya, golden age in the future. So make effort to remember Baba as you sew. If someone were washing clothes, Brahma Baba would go to him and say, you are washing the clothes of the body. Shiv Baba is the unlimited laundryman who purifies all degraded souls. Remember then, child, wash your soul along with your clothes. Brahma Baba made them understand that they were the luckiest of souls, the very stars of fortune. They worked for the highest paying employer of all and worked on a subtle level, which before they had not even known was possible. When Brahma Baba took them out for a walk, he would say, see, along with this physical pilgrimage, also go on the subtle pilgrimage. Stay in remembrance of Paramtham, the silent home of souls. Oh, my invaluable jewels, you alone in all the world know about this Avyakt, subtle pilgrimage. At about that time, Shiv Baba sent another message, also one which was soon to test them all. God's command, serve India. August 1947, it was declared that India would be partitioned. Many Hindu families fled from the newly created, mostly Muslim Pakistan. Baba explained to the children that though Mahatma Gandhi and the Congress Party were making efforts to win independence and to establish Ram Rajya, the kingdom of God, in reality, Ram Rajya could only be established when each male and female were pure like Ram and Sita, when they became the highest human beings following the highest code of conduct. Brahma Baba used to say that the Congress and other parties would bring political independence to India, but not happiness or prosperity, because no effort would be made to establish the highest conduct and purity. Brahma Baba told us in advance that Hindus and Muslims would beat and kill each other because of their religious intolerance. When the killing started, it came as no surprise to us, nor were we frightened. Brahma Baba had published his warnings in a book and sent the book to kings and influential individuals, both within and outside the country. He also had open letters published in the newspapers. But society did not believe those forewarnings. Most Hindus fled Pakistan for India after the partition, but the Yagya stayed on in Karachi, and the Muslims never tried to harm them. Some Muslim officers occasionally came to ask questions, but they were never offensive. They were happy to be introduced to Allah. One of their questions was, what is the work of this institution? They were told that all the people here were servants of God, remembering God alone, practicing detachment and purity. Muslims, we told them, say that God is Pak Parvardigar, the pure supreme being. But you do not become, but you do not become Pak or pure. You only have taken the name Pakistan, pure land. Now it is God's command that you actually become Pak. On hearing such words, they smiled in agreement. They would say, "Tell us what service we can do for you. You are fine people. It is our duty to serve you because you are worshipping God and you are Pak." Returning to Bharat. 2 or 3 years had passed since the relatives of the Yagya members had migrated to India from Pakistan. They did not know the whereabouts of Mandali and had heard that the university had been shut down by the Muslims and that the members had scattered. When they discovered later that Mandali was still in existence in Pakistan, they wrote letters asking that the Yagya be brought back to India. They were afraid that perhaps the Muslim Pakistanis would attack the institution. But on the contrary, the Muslim Pakistanis protected it, considering it quite pure and holy. Some of the relatives of the Yagya children persisted in inviting the spiritual gathering back to India. One day, Shiv Baba, speaking through Brahma Baba and later through a messenger daughter, commanded that the Yagya should now be moved back to India because the people of India would be most be able to take advantage of this knowledge. Shiv Baba informed us there is a bigger field for service there and much testing also. At last in 1950, the children prepared to leave Karachi. When the Muslims of Sindh came to hear of this, they tried to persuade them to stay. "We will give you better facilities," they said. "You will not experience any unhappiness here. Why are you going away then? If you stay here, you will not be there will not be any unholy acts done in this country. We will take care of all of you in every way. You are of God. You have no connection with the politics of the Hindu or the Muslim." But the Yagya children had Shiv Baba's command to go to India, so they made arrangements for passage by steamship from Karachi to Okha. They sold the buildings they had lived in. Still, important people tried to dissuade them from going. Allah Bakhaji and Bulam Husainji, past chief minister and Vidhi Mantri, and Dr. Chopatram Gidwani, among others, came by. They were pleased with the godly knowledge. "Stay here," they said. "We will all help you." But they were told it was God's command that they must go to India to serve. There were 400 Yagya members in those days. When their luggage was piled at Karachi port, a crowd of people gathered. Muslims and Pathans helped the 400 white-clad yogis to embark. The many Pakistani people who came to say farewell showered a rain of flowers over the Yagya members, who in turn responded with a rain of their own flowers showered on the loving people who watched as the steamer began to sail away. It was a moving scene. One Brahmin said that the steamer was the ship of truth and they were crossing the ocean of the world. During this trip, the captain and others were quite helpful. They often used to say, "Show us how we can serve." Spiritual classes continued according to schedule. The flute of knowledge played as always, with even the captain taking advantage. Om Shanti.